All right, so today we are going to be looking at some full court press break basketball plays. Now, for these particular plays, we're going to run them as if they're against a man to man defense. So, these particular plays, these press breaks, are going to work best against a man to man defense. Let's get into our first play here. Okay, so as we can see, we're lined up with two players here at the elbow and two players a little bit wider at half court. Okay, so we're going to have multiple options for this play. Let's start with the first option. So the first thing we're going to have, the first option here is number 2 is going to set a screen for number 3. Now we want the play to start this way just about every time, right? It needs to start like this. So number 2 is setting that screen for number 3. Number 3 is coming off the screen to about right here, somewhere in between that 3-point line and the key, right? And we're going to feed number 3 the basketball. If we can't get number 3 the basketball, number 2 is going to roll after they set that screen. So then we have an option there to get the ball to number 2 if we need to as well. Okay, but right now we have the ball over to number 3. So the first thing that number 1 is going to do is sprint as fast as they can up the court and look to get that ball back, right? A give and go, a pass and cut where we get that first pass back to number 1, right? And then we want number 1 to push the pace down the court as fast as they can, along with number 4 and number 5 sprinting as well. You could have one of these players camp out at the 3-point line and one of these players take the dunker spot, right? And then we should have a 3-on-2 fast break. Okay, so that's our ideal option, right? You want number 1 to actually be somebody who's fast, who can get the ball back, right, and sprint down the court. Okay, but we understand that we might not always get this option. Okay, so we're going to reset because we might not always get this option. Okay, so say we get the ball. Well, let's completely reset. Okay, so let's have number 3 set the screen for number 2 this time, and say we can't get the ball back to number 1. Okay, so number 3 is going to set that screen. Okay, number 2 is coming off of the screen, right? In this situation, we're going to get the ball into number 2. Okay, number 1 is sprinting down the floor, but they're unable to get the ball back. Okay, so what happens now? Let's take a look. In this situation, we're actually going to utilize number 4 a little bit more. Okay, so say we can't get that ball back to number 1. Number 1 is going to continue cutting, and they're going to take the spot of number 4. But what's actually going to happen here is number 4 is going to flash the middle. So we want to get the ball into number 4 as they flash the middle. Okay, now number 4 has to completely pivot at this time, right? We want number 4 to completely pivot. Okay, and they're now going to have two options. This first option is number 1 is going to come down here and set a screen for number 3. Okay, and so then number 3 can potentially run down the court and have an open lane. And if that doesn't work, number 5 is going to flash the middle. And then we can get a pass into number 5. Number 2 is going to sprint as hard as they can, and then they also have a 3-on-2 fast break between the 3 of them. Now, let's say we can't get the ball in. Let's reset now and say we can't get the ball in to number 2 or number 3. Okay, so we can't get the ball in on that initial screen. Well, we can set something similar up. Okay, so number 3 sets that screen for number 2. Number 2 is coming off the screen, but we can't get the ball into number 3 or number 2. What do we do then? Okay, we're going to have a very similar situation run. Number 4 is going to sprint to about right here. Right there, going to get somewhere inside that 3-point line. And we're going to feed number 4 rather, the basketball. Okay, now we're going to have the exact same situation happening. We're going to have number 5 flash the middle, and hopefully we can get the ball into number 5. But if we can't, number 3 is going to sprint down the court as fast as they can. Maybe we can get the ball into number 3 as they're sprinting. Number 2 is going to do the same thing, right? We're going to get some movement there for the defense, right? We can get the ball into number 2 as they're sprinting. And if that doesn't work, with number 1, we can run a dribble handoff to them, right? We're going to have to do this quick at this point, probably meet a little bit further up, right? Then number 1 will have the basketball. We can get the ball up the court. So that will be a little bit of a longer option, right? Remember, we only have 8 seconds to do this. You're going to have to run this fast. But hopefully, right, in this situation, we will have one of these three options available at first. So these are three different scenarios, but overall, we're getting the ball up the court pretty quickly. This is personally my favorite press break. There's a few reasons why. Number one, I like the fact that it is simple enough that you can use it for all age groups. So this is something that you could use with your beginner teams who, are first, learning a man-to-man press break, how to beat a press. They're, just getting their first experience with that, or you could use this with your high school teams, your older AAU teams. There's just multiple options within this press break. And that's what I like about it. It's pretty diverse, but it's also complicated enough that it, results in a few easy baskets for your team potentially, or just gets the ball in play. So let's take a look at it. So for this one, we are going to start in a line. We're going to bring all of our players down the floor near the inbounder. So the reason I like doing this, especially with a man-to-man press, is because, and again, this will work a lot better with a man-to-man press. You'll see why in a minute. But the reason I love bringing all four of my players down toward the inbounder when I'm dealing with a man-to-man press is because it brings down those defenders as well, right? It gets the defenders away from the basket that we're trying to score on and brings them all down to the back court. So then as soon as one of our players beats this press, you basically have no defense remaining. You have no more help that can come in to stop you. You basically have a wide open lane to the basket. So for me, a lot of my press breaks that I use when I'm, trying to beat a man-to-man press involves bringing everybody into the backcourt. Now, for the longest time, as a coach, I was always against that. But, from running plays like this, I realized there are a lot of opportunities here to get a fast break, wide open layup once one of your players, gets past the defender, because there's going to be, like I said, no help there to stop them. So for this one, we're lining up all, like I said, in a row of four, close to the inbounder in the backcourt. We're not touching the front court right now. We're staying in the backcourt. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to look to get the ball in here to number one. That's going to be our first option. Now, what number one's going to do? Number one's not actually going to try to get the ball, close to the ball and maybe play a standard point guard role. What number one in this situation is going to do is actually try to get a wide open layup. So we're going to have number one cut into about right here. But as that's happening, number two is going to move in here as well. And they're going to be ready to set a screen for number one, as number one has a quick change of direction. Number two is setting that screen right here as number one does that, right? Number two is setting that screen for them after that change of direction. And number one is going to look to cut all the way down to the basket, right? And then typically with this press break, we want somebody with the powerful arm or the ability to throw long range passes to inbound the ball, because this is going to be our first option right here, is getting the ball into number one then for a wide open layup. Now, chances are you might only be able to get this option a few times. Teams will catch on to that pretty quickly and take that option away after you score maybe 2 or 4 points from that. But again, that's 2 or 4 points on the board that, your team might not have had before. In a game where, you could win a game by 2 or 4 points, that means a lot. So we want to get that opportunity, right? Number one's here, right? Let's look at it again. Let's reset it. Right, number two's here, number one's here. We're going to have the ball back in bounds. Number one is going to cut down here, and they're going to change direction. But as they do that, right, number two is coming down here to set that screen. Number one is gone. We're going to try to get a powerful pass in here to number one from our inbounder for a wide open layup. Now, the question is, what happens then if we can't get the ball into number one? Well, there are 3 more options on the floor back here in the backcourt that, we can kind of run pretty quickly. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And as that is happening with number one and number two, simultaneously at the same time, number 3 is going to go set a screen here for number 4. Now, how you want number 4 to come off that screen, if you want it to be set up here or down here, that's kind of up to you as a coach, what you want to do. I typically have them come set the screen this way. So number 4 would cut down here toward the ball. Okay, after number 3 sets that screen, they're going to take off because we want now a little bit more space in the backcourt. So you have to imagine number 1 is going to be about right here. Number 3 is going to be about right here, right? And we still have 2 players here in the backcourt. For number 2, After they set that screen for number 1, they're immediately going to change direction and look for number 4. So they're going to go set another screen for number 4 as number 4 is running. So number 4 is getting hit with 2 screens. So number 4 then is going to look for the basketball, and then number 2 is going to roll to the basketball as well. So you have 2 potential options here for number 4 or number 2. Whoever gets that ball in this situation, number 4, you can then try to bring it up the side, bring it up the middle, whichever you prefer. You could have number 5 cut down the middle. Again, that's totally up to you. But, in this situation of a man-to-man, it's going to be pretty easy for, our players to beat that at this point because, again, all these players are back here now. So if any of their defenders come up to help, right, that's an easy lob pass over there to number 1 or number 3. Typically that wouldn't happen if it is a smart defending team. So they are going to bring, their defense pretty close to the player that they're guarding. And, for that reason, at this point, it's going to be pretty easy to get the ball up the floor in a man-to-man press situation. But again, the main options with this one, we want to try to look for that long pass here with number 1. If we can't get it, though, we have some options then to get the ball in here to number 4 or number 2 off of that roll. So this press break, this man-to-man press breaks gives us a few different options here, which is why I typically like to use this one the most. Okay, so the next play that we're looking at here is a 1-2-2. So as we can see, we have players set up 1 right here, our inbounder, right? 2 right here. We have 2 players looking for the ball close to the basket in the backcourt, and then 2 players at half. So we're setting up in a 1-2-2. Now, again, we want to initially get the basketball into one of these 2 players that are closest to the inbounder. So how you want to do that, again, that's up to you. I personally love just having the players split. Some people like doing a little banana cut where we have a little cut this way to look for the basketball from the first person here in line. Then number 4 runs to the basketball. Either way, it doesn't really matter. Same as the last one. What we want to do here is just get the ball inbounds to one of these 2 players. So say we have them split, okay? We're going to get the ball into one of them. Say, again, it's the one on this side. What we're going to have then is the opposite side of the floor, the opposite player at half. They're going to sprint down to about the 3-point line and look for the basketball. So in this situation, it's number 3. So number 3 is going to sprint to about right here and look for the basketball. So they're going to get the ball back from number 2. The opposite side, the opposite player right here is then going to cut toward the middle and look for the basketball from number 3. They're going to receive the ball, and then we should have a fast break down the floor between these 2 players, right? So you should have a 2-on-1 here potentially, or at least a 2-on-2. And we're going to get a wide open lane to the basket. If it's not 100% there for a layup, then you can just dribble outside the 3-point line and reset into your offense. That's fine as well, but you are going to get something here. So let's reset that again, maybe go to the opposite side this time. The numbers are not the same. That's not the end of the world, right? We don't really care about that too much. We just want to get the ball inbounds. You're going to put your players in each position that, are strong enough to be there. So let's say these guys split. We'll get the ball into the left side this time, right? In this situation, we're going to have this side of the floor come down and sprint and look for the basketball. We're going to get then the basketball right here. So then this player is going to sprint on that cut. We're going to feed the basketball into number 2, and then we have a 2-man running down the floor right here between number 4 and number 2 right here with the basketball for a little fast break. Again, if you want to use that for a wide open layup, that's fine. The wide open layup is not there, or it's a 2-on-2 and they're clogging up the paint pretty well. Dribble it outside the 3-point line, reset into your offense. So this is very similar to the last play, except we're lining up a little bit differently. This one is in a 1-2-2 instead of a 1-2-1-1.